when they're feeling elevated emotions like gratitude, and appreciation, and thankfulness, and love, and joy, they're able to create more coherence in their heart. When the heart starts beating coherently, it begins to produce a measurable magnetic field. That field of energy is frequency, and all frequency carries information. And now they're beginning to expand their energy and connect to some invisible field. That frequency then, that energy can carry the thought of their health, can carry the intent of their wealth. Suffering can't do that. So many people, they're trying to think positively with the 5% of their conscious mind, but their body has been programmed into negativity. So mind and body are in opposition. So teaching people how to regulate and actually see that when they do that, if they're wearing a monitor, you can see the heart go into this great state of order, and they can self-regulate. So the significance of that is when they return back into their lives, they have the ability to change certain imbalanced emotional states to more healthy, balanced states. And so we have research to show that people can sustain this state for 45 minutes to an hour at a time. And now the question is, if you can do it with your eyes closed in a meditation, the next step is to be able to do it with your eyes open in your life. And so when you're able to self-regulate that means then you're not taking your attention off your inner world of thoughts and feelings because of some condition in your outer environment. You're able to shorten the stress response, and that's called emotional intelligence. We've measured the energy of the room. We now know that in every event, the energy of the room gets bigger. That's available energy for people to heal with, to create a new life. We've measured the energy around people's bodies. When they're literally in a transformative moment, the body actually liberates energy. They go from particle to wave, from matter to energy, and they're building their own electromagnetic field. And now that's the resource for them to begin to create with. And when we live so addicted to the hormones of stress and all of our attention is on the body, the environment, and time, we draw from this field of vital life force surrounding our body and turn it into chemistry. And the stress response actually draws from that field and taps the body's resources. And so there is no field to heal. There is no energy to create with. We've measured immune response. In 4 days, people trading anger and aggression and guilt for an elevated emotion. Will it strengthen their immune system? By 50%. In 4 days, their immune system got stronger. So that's significant because we see people with MS and lupus and food sensitivities and anaphylactic conditions literally in 4 days heal themselves, and that's because they're changing their internal state. We've measured telomeres, the shoestrings on the end of DNA, to say if a person does a meditation for 60 days, will it lengthen their life? And 74% of the people that were involved in the study lengthened their life 4 to 8 days. I mean, if they did it for a year, you can see they're changing their genetic destiny. So we now know that common people around the world are doing the uncommon. We now know that there's a language to be able to explain it, and the language is science. Science is the contemporary language of mysticism. It's what demystifies the mystical. And combining quantum physics with neuroscience, with neuroendocrinology, with psychoneuroimmunology, with epigenetics, all of those sciences point the finger at possibility. So evidence then, not only in the scientific measurement has been important, but now we're seeing I honestly am probably more surprised than anybody by some of the things that we're witnessing in the last year. I mean, we're talking about blind people seeing, deaf people hearing, tumors disappearing right before our eyes. We're seeing people with Parkinson's disease switch on, people with Raynaud's syndrome, with significant hormonal imbalances, brain tumors. I mean, we've seen so many things in a week's time literally disappear. People with stage 4 cancer just go into remission. So now that evidence of the person actually standing in front of an audience and saying, I had this condition and now it's gone, they have the scans and the measurements to prove it. And they don't look like a movie star, and they don't look young, and they don't look buffed, and they don't look healthy. They just look like a normal person. The audience relates with that person, and they start saying, my goodness, if this person can do it, then it makes sense that I can do it as well. So then that's so important, because the experience leaves a footprint in the quantum field for someone else to step into. But when you're witnessing the evidence in three-dimensional reality, you cannot go back to being the same person again. And that evidence then is happening not only in our measurements, but the evidence and changes that are happening in people's bodies and in their lives, not only with their health, but new relationships, new careers, new opportunities, abundance, whatever it is. Once you start applying the formula, you begin to prove to yourself that you're more of the creator of your life and less of the victim of your life. And so then the moment you say, hey, this person or this circumstance that's making me feel this way, then you're a victim to those circumstances. So then there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how we live in our humanity. So as an example, the more altered you feel emotionally inside of you because of some condition in your outer world, let's say something causes you to feel angry or something causes you to feel sad, the moment you stop feeling like Laura and you start feeling altered, the change in your internal state causes you to pay attention to what's happening in your outer world. And so you narrow your focus on the cause. Now, the problem with that is that the problems and circumstances in our life that are causing us to feel the most emotions, we're putting most of our attention on. And where you place your attention is where you place your energy. So in a sense, you're giving your power away to that person or that circumstance. So then now your energy is commingled with the person that you dislike, with your enemy, with your boss, with your coworker, with your ex, because that's where all of your attention is. But if they understand the theory and the technology, then all of a sudden, if they start applying themselves and going within, and every time they start noticing a thought that's connected to a person or to an emotion, and they stop and they settle their body back down into the present moment, the act of doing that is a victory. Most people say, I can't focus. No, you became aware that you lost the present moment and you return back to the present moment. Every time you do that, you're telling the body it's no longer the mind, that you're the mind, and there's a liberation of energy. The body's releasing energy. Then the body says, well, you normally wake up at 8 o'clock, you get in traffic, and now all of a sudden you start getting angry in traffic, and now you're sitting there with your eyes closed and the body's going, you're off schedule. You usually feel angry at this time, so the body starts craving anger, and so what it does is it sends signals to the brain of all the past things in your life you can get angry about. And now the moment you realize that your brain is doing that just for the addiction of that emotion, and where you place your attention is where you place your energy. If you put your attention on that emotion, you're siphoning energy out of the present moment into the past. You become aware of that. You return back to the present moment, and you tell the body then it's no longer the mind. You settle it down. That's another victory. Then the body says, well, I want to get up. I got emails to check. I got to take a shower. I got phone calls to make. I got texts to return. And it wants to get up. And you wanted it to sit down, and you realize that when it's on a program and it starts to do that, and you settle it back down into the present moment, it's another victory. That means then your will is getting greater than the program, and David is slaying Goliath. And in the act of doing this over time, sooner or later, like the body, it's just the animal, it's just the servant. Sooner or later, if you're training an animal to sit, sooner or later it's going to learn how to sit, and the body finally surrenders to another mind. And that is the moment the person starts freeing themselves. So then once they get beyond their body, their identity, the people in their life, the things they own, the place they live, in time itself, when they become pure consciousness, now it's time to begin to connect to that resource, that field. And being able to understand how to do that allows them all of a sudden to create more from holism, from oneness, instead of duality, polarity, or separation, because the hormones of stress heighten the senses and we become materialists, which means then there's me here and there's you there. And if you look different than me, I'm going to feel more separate. And then there's me here, and then there's my dreams way over there, way out there, because that's how I see them, but at a distance. And I got to drag my body through space, and it's going to take time for me to get my new house, my new career, my new relationship, because I'm matter trying to influence matter. So then in the quantum, though, when you start connecting to this field, you experience less separation and more wholeness. And now when you create from the field, all you have to do is change your energy. And so when you do that properly, you no longer play by the rules of Newtonian physics. In fact, you do the opposite.